You want to hear me beatbox?
Yeah, let's hear you beatbox.
You want something like funky or?
Anything. The funkiest of the
Let's
funk.
see. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another exciting new episode of Hotline Miami 2 Level Editor Tutorials. I'm your host, Rob Salmon, and with me is my fabulous co-host.
And it's Matt. So, Rob, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about advanced mechanics and Notepad++ ideas and editing. So let's switch back.
I like how you just read the title. Pranks, everybody. I'm Rob. That's Matt.
And I'm Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, today we're covering some of the dirtier parts that definitely didn't intend us using to break the game. So basically, we're rooting around in the files and swapping stuff, as well as using Notepad and mods in conjunction to do stuff. I'm gonna list my list here because it's not really. It's just a whole bunch of mishmash of different fun things you can do. We're gonna start with fixing errors in cutscenes and whatnot. Did you forget to add an animation before a lengthy dialogue? I can show you how to make it to just make it so much easier. How to change wait time editing. Then we're gonna briefly go over custom fonts and loading screens, elevator cutscene transitions, how to have drivable vehicles and just moving vehicles, teleporting, camera pans, how to avoid having to replay your lower floors when testing a top floor, and just swapping the level floors, and then the grand finale will be the Deathwish character swap as seen in Hot Arrival, and that's literally it so far. So,
Yeah.
we got a huge episode, so I hope you stick around. This is for people who have they've got a hold of the editor pretty well, but they're looking at some campaigns being like, what the fuck kind of wizardry is this? This will help. So first,
I think a lot of us are like that.
yeah. So definitely, this is the last video. This is the final boss video to go over before you actually do anything. So first, I want to talk about adding in your dialogue, like fixing it essentially. So we're gonna call this dialogue.
And this is pretty simple too. I mean, it's one of the most simplest ones. Touch base on.
Sorta. So we've shown you a notepad how to change. We've shown you a notepad how to change the typos and whatnot. But let's say you fuck up an action. So we're gonna have an action play out, and we want it to play. We want it to play a sound. We want it to play door open, and then add the frame, and then add the action, and we're gonna add dialogue. And so blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay, so theoretically, and this has happened to me, this is how I solve this, is I had like a 50-page cutscene right here, and we're gonna do 3. So remember this. Remember how many lines it is. This one's 3. So we do this, and then we go back and we go, ah, fuck, I didn't mean to do SFX door open. Or, ah, fuck, I meant to have a wait action before all of this. So that's actually a good one, because a lot of action, a lot of sound effects will play, and then the next frame will start instantly. And so say you want the sound to fully play out before. Oh fuck, now we don't have a wait action to add in frame 0. I have to delete my entire dialogue section to add it. Wrong. Not entirely. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to save this, and you're going to quit out of the game. And then, oh, none of my files open, sorry. And then you're gonna want to find the single level that you just made. We've gone over how to access these quick. And you're just gonna go Control C, Control V. Now you have 2 of them. Hooray! This is something I would highly suggest. They're gonna have the same exact title, because you just copied it. So I would open up one of the HLM files, doesn't matter which one, and add a 2 to the title, which is just the very first line. So now, when we boot up Hotline Miami, you're gonna see 2 of them in the editor.
You say the action that you're using is a sound effect or the wait time?
I only put a sound effect. Say you wanted a wait time and a sound effect in the same frame, but you've already done stuff. Now, obviously, this method is going to be tough. This is only for like saving a dialogue that you did. Like if you have this huge long list of stuff and you want to like throw stuff, like you're gonna have to just remake it if it's at the very beginning. But this is to just save dialogue. So basically, I've got my second dialogue open. This is the okay, yeah, this is dialogue 2. So what you're gonna do is you're going to just delete it. Just delete the whole frame. You're gonna add your wait action in there, and then you're going to add another frame. And now, what you're going to do is add the dialogue and just hit the plus button to the exact number of messages there are. So we had 3, there's 3. You don't have to worry about changing these to make sure it's focused on the player. Just have it blank. So, like on the one that I messed up for my campaign I'm working on, I had like 50. Just click that plus button 50 times real fast, and leave it completely blank.
50? Oh my god.
I mean, well, clicking it 50 times is nowhere near as much as retyping the whole goddamn thing. So, yeah,
true. Good point.
Save it. And now, you don't actually have to quit out of the game, because we're just messing with Notepad right now. So, basically, you want to open up the original CSV file in Notepad. Or CSF, my bad. And so here you're gonna have the everything that your character says here, and you're just gonna want to highlight it and click copy on it. And now we're going to go over to the new one, find the CSF file, and you see how it looks real similar, except like on like line 33, 34, there's nothing. That's because we didn't type anything. So you're just gonna highlight exactly what you copied on the other one and hit Control V, and it'll paste it in there for you. Boom.
Yeah.
It'll even hype man Matt.
What?
Just your yeah. Sorry. So it'll even change the player, and whatever face is the one speaking it. So that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Just make sure you save it. Now we're gonna go to editor. Now remember, editor 2, it was just a dialogue of nothing. And now we have the dialogue there. So that will save you from having to retype everything. Now,
especially how the cutscene editor is.
Yeah, I know you can, if you add the wrong song in, like you do add action, add song, I know you can change that in Notepad. I can't off the top of my head think about how to do it with sound effects. I'm sure there's a way. I'm positive there's a way, but we just haven't.
Yeah, I know. Like you said, you can do it with music.
Yeah, but that's because the music, it's just like literally you open up the file and it'll like have sexualizer.mp3 right there, whereas the sound effects, it looks like they're hidden behind a number system. So like SFX door open, it might be sound effect 20. And there's just like a 20 located there, and we don't really know. Like, trial and error, and if someone wants to learn that, that'd be cool. Alright, so...
Nice.
And then... let's see if this crashes. Because there's the wait time now. Yeah, Yeah, so I'm stuck right now. I'm having to go through 285 frames, and then the dialogue kicks in. So it's pretty simple, and will save you a ton of time. Obviously, can't be too complex, but just know that exists, and you probably can do more with it than what I've figured out so far if you just kind of experiment. And so next I wanted to talk about wait time. Like I think I said in the notepad video you can't do wait time because I'd never figured it out, but it's because what you want to do is it's the frames. So this is 285 frames. It's not based on the seconds. It's based off how many frames. So you're going to want to find 285. Find next. Might be this one. Oh, it's right.
Well, you said that you couldn't do it previously because you weren't aware of it, or?
I don't know if I wasn't aware of it or if I just couldn't find it. But you see these 285s here? Let's actually make sure I'm back out. Make sure you're on the home page, and we're gonna instead make it 185 because you're like, that's a bit too long of a wait. So I don't actually know which one of it influences. I've changed both, and it works. So is that saved? Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because there's a couple times where it's like, oh, I feel like it's waiting too long, so you can just shorten the amount of frames it takes up. And so, see, now it says 185 instead of 285. So make sure you click save, Control P, and how long is 285? I mean, you can tell it's slightly shorter. So obviously, if you wanted it, you can change it. So you can edit it very specifically, but do both. I haven't actually done any testing besides both because it worked without crashing. So now we're going to go on to editing the texts in the fonts. So first, editing text. Now, I've seen this very rarely. If you played my most recent campaign, like you'll see the press R to restart is slightly different, and you can change a couple things. So in this screenshot I have, instead of like the description of what the Dallas mask does, I call it a fucking ninja, and the spaces are all wonked out because I was just testing it. Lego Mag showed me how to do this, essentially, but basically, if you've used the WAD Explorer a bunch, you might have looked at the localization bin, and you see how it actually in every language, or not every, English, French, German, Spanish, all, like I guess all the available languages, it'll have all the dialogue in the game. So literally, you want to find "I was born with thick skin" and change it to something different, you can change that. But not only is the campaign cutscene dialogue changeable, but there's a number of pretty much any text in the main game. So once you get to the bottom here, please tell me I'm recording. Sweet. You can see stuff like eject, menu, leave, escape, get the BA, get the bag. Yeah, it's the get the bag. So at the bottom of the screen where it's like exit, you can change it. You can say like job's done. You can also change what you're being graded on. Obviously, it doesn't actually change what you're being graded on. It just tells you. So instead of kills, you can say something goofy. So you can't actually edit this, really. Like, nothing happens when I type this. So what you're gonna have to do is you want to extract this to a new folder. Okay. So save that. And now you're gonna have to edit it, and you can't actually edit it in Notepad. It looks like insane gibberish when you open it in Notepad. You're gonna want to get a hex editor program. The one that I use, which is free, is XVI32. And I'll try. It's been a long time. I'll try to find it in the link of where I found it, and I'll link that in the description. So you're gonna want to open that localization thing, which pictures. We're looking for Uplay. Open. Okay, so you're gonna get a whole bunch of this, which I don't really know. It just I guess each letter corresponds with something, with a different number. and it's pretty insane at the top. Like, now we're already in, because like it's just a big barf of every single thing of dialogue, like for even the different languages, it's all mixed together. So what you have to do is you have to like hit Control F. You're gonna want to make it not case sensitive, scope from the beginning, not from where like the cursor is, and you're gonna type. So it already remembers me looking for the restart, so I searched restart. So hopefully this is big enough, and my recording is high def. But you'll see press R to restart. So we want to change that. So what do you want to? Yeah, what do you want to change it to?
Isn't with the reefer you said like no, or like no, this can't be happening or something?
It was like not like this. The problem with this is
I think it just goes unnoticed because.
Yeah, I mean most people just habitually do it, but some people noticed it.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, just muscle memory. But you can change other things that are more noticeable. But press R to restart is like the most that's the text everyone knows from the game. So the problem with this is you can't make it longer. So the amount of characters you're given is what you're stuck. So press R to restart. However many characters, you have to keep it that way. So I started with a P, changed it to a Y. Your D-E-A-D, and then we're gonna put enough exclamation points to fill it all the way. You don't have to do that. You don't have to like fill it all the way. You can just hit spaces to fill it. But I just did it for fun. Also, don't hit backspace. If you hit backspace, everything shifts up and you fucked yourself. And you're just exit the whole thing, don't save what you did, and you're gonna have to restart.
Does it crash it?
Once you implement it, it crashes it because you've shifted everything. Like, you know how like in biology, like that's how you get like DNA fuck-ups, is one thing fucks up and then everything's shifted off when you're copying DNA. It's just like that.
I guess so.
Let's find another one. I'm gonna Control F. I'm gonna look.
But if you have like
kill.
Yeah, so if you have like limited amount of characters and you just use spaces, like when you go to test it, is there just like a void where you basically didn't have anything? Because it's only like it starts from left to right, and then like another bar itself is like only. Is that the reason that there's obviously it's not going to go off the screen where it's contained in?
Yeah, well, you have to
like
have the correct amount of characters. Exactly. Like the black box that the press R to restart, you can't change the shape of that. I mean, you're very limited in what you can change with this. You also, the most annoying thing is you can't change the names of Jacket's masks or Jake's masks, but you can change the names of the Sun's gear and playstyles, as well as the soldiers. Yes. Okay. I'm trying to like look for keywords to find something to change. I forget what I did. Let's type in grade. Okay, so here we have some. You also like can change like the descriptions of the achievements, all the tutorial stuff. Like, Here we go. Here we go. So down here we have Jake's playlists, or playstyles. I mean, so yeah. So like Inner Warrior, no weapons. That's the Dallas masks, and the no weapons is red. So like you can have something now. Obviously, I typed the word fucking and then ninja, like starting with the F at the I and then the N at the N for no, and it created that awkward space. So you would want to like add spaces before, like, to even it out if the word is smaller, if that makes any sense. So what else can we change? See if I can change think you can actually change the main menu. So. And then.
And again, with most of this, you said it's in the localization files.
Yes. Okay, so now that you can mess around with this yourself and find all the different things to change. Just remember, you can't shift anything left or right. It has to be exact same amount of the exact same amount of characters. If you can find out how to add more, let me know. As far as I can tell, you can't. And if you know how to do hex editors, you probably can. I'm an ignorant on the topic. So
yeah, if you know, comment below.
Yeah, if you actually know, like, this is just me looking at stuff and basing it off Notepad. So I'm gonna save it, and then I'm gonna open up this, and I'm gonna go resource replace, and replace the localization bin with mine. So you can actually see if it worked by scrolling down here and just, like, since you can't control F, it's a pain in the ass, but if you kind of know where in relation to the search bar it is, you can, yeah, so like you can see where I put stuff. I said, hi, please subscribe, except the E wasn't there because I ran out of characters. So then I'm gonna save the patch wad.
What you doing?
I forgot to take my mods off.
Spoilers!
Yeah. I am just going to put them back in my mod folder.
You didn't see anything.
You didn't see anything. I'm gonna delete them out of this mod folder. All right, so now I'm gonna save it.
By the end of the Love Letter series, you might see like the whole human being campaign.
Yeah, you've definitely gotten some sneaky peeks.
Saw some enemy sprites. You got some objects.
Yeah, I forgot I have the whole fucking game open. So you gotta reboot. Anytime you add a mod, you gotta reopen the game. It's not like Notepad where you can just change it from the main menu. Like, almost every asset in the game can be replaced. Can't add new stuff, can't take away stuff, but you can replace pretty much anything.
Yeah, that's pretty flexible.
Yeah, alright.
I like how you said with this, the advanced tricks, it's like we're doing some dirty work. Where technically it is, because like we're kind of finding stuff out that the Denton is just like...
I don't think they intended that to be a thing. It's the R to restart should be different. So... Kill me, kill me, kill me. Alright, now it says, you're dead, and you should know what button to hit. So you can just say anything stupid you want. And... So yeah, that's how that happens. So, the other thing that you probably want to know is how to change the fonts, and that's the one you've seen a lot more. Bushido had it, I have it, a couple other people have it, but that's a pretty uncommon one because of how hard it is. I don't think I need to go over it in depth because there are two Skunkrocker videos.
Skullrocker?
I want to call it. I think it's Skunkrocker. I should probably look them up. And
I think we're probably both wrong.
Yeah. Click. Yeah. Click on the little thing right here to watch those videos because they go over it in very good detail. Basically, he talks about changing the backgrounds as well and the fonts. I'm trying
very in-depth.
Like, I don't even know if there's anything that I've learned that I can add besides you can do it to pretty much any font. So you want to open up fonts here. You can change any font. Now these font files you can change. You can't change the meta files. You can change the font files. So I'm gonna type in points because
Did he just do the one video, or you said he did like two?
he did two. Did one for backgrounds, one for fonts. So
Okay.
I'm gonna pull up. Here's the points. So basically, the points font is for all the. It's only for the points that like show up when you punch someone in the face. It's not the ones up in the top corner. So basically, you can, if you find the numbers in here, because it doesn't use any of the other letters, but if you find the numbers, if you change them when you punch someone in the face, something different will pop up. So that's what it looks like originally. Now, what I have made for a future campaign,
Wink, wink.
wink wink, that's coming out in a long time, because I have replaced it with this.
Don't quote me.
No, seriously, it's going to take a long time to come out. So, but I replaced it with this. So when you punch someone, it's got these like cartoon pow, bang, boom, sort of deals. And so obviously, they're not replacing the exact numbers. So what I did was I opened up the font file and through trial and error figured out which ID was which character. So if you look down here in this corner when you have one selected, it'll tell you like what what the coordinate is. So let's reduce my coordinate. So this is my exact coordinate here, like 9983. And so for the 6, the 8, and the 1, I found those three coordinates and replaced them with pow, bam, and bang. And then for the way they the way they behaved, I changed the font file in Notepad, because you can open it in Notepad. And I'm speaking this without showing you because you can watch it in his videos, basically. So I'm just going to kind of show you the final result to just prove to you what's possible. And if enough people are confused by it, then I might make a separate video on this more in depth. But basically change.
Yeah, because we obviously can't touch base with like every specific detail, and like he said, there are obviously guys out there that were mentioning that really have an in-depth process that people have like taken the time to.
I mean, his videos are so good that there's no point of me just repeating what he said. I just would link them. So we're gonna make that. I'm just remaking this patch wad, and this is probably one of the most complex things, because getting the lettering right is very frustrating. And theoretically, you could put anything you want. It doesn't have to just be letters. It could be pictures. Yeah, but they'd look awful because the way the behavior is hard coded in is strange.
Well, almost like every time is like trial and error, because like you said, you're having different fonts, like for Berlin or for like Reefer.
I'm gonna play Breathe to show off the points. Have you seen these points? Have I shown them to you?
Maybe. If you send me a broadcast, I think.
Okay, so it goes bang, pow, pow.
Oh, yeah, I remember watching your broadcast, and you're like, do you see it? And I was like, yeah, cool level. And you're like, no, do you see it? Like, it's so quick, that's the thing, and that's why I was mentioning too about the R to restart, that people are so accustomed to like what the game is. Like, it is fast paced, and so not to say like that sort of detail doesn't go.
Yeah, these are like small details. Like
it helps,
it helps with the theme. Like, obviously you don't have to change it, and I can't really think for the points what else would come up besides those like comic book kapows and stuff. But you could change the credits too. You can change pretty much literally any writing in the game, and just put in the comments what writing, and I'll try to figure out which one. I skipped it so fast, but even the pause stuff you can change, like play, config, and whatnot. You can change that. So that about covers that. So yeah, go and watch his videos once you're done with this one. so you can learn how to have those cool things too. So next we're going to talk about elevator cutscene transitions. And this might sound confusing to you because you're not really supposed to know when you're playing that there's an elevator involved. Basically, this helps with like instantaneous changes. Say you have one level and you need 3 cutscenes, one at the start, one at the beginning, and you don't know where to put the other one. You can cram 2 in the intro by doing it. I did this with Reefer Madness. The person who came up with it, as far as I can tell, is from Pig Fingers. So if you ever wonder like how Pig Fingers like changes setting all of a sudden, like changes the floor is what I'm trying to say. This is how you do it. Basically, your cutscene character is the focus, but it isn't who you actually think it is. So you're gonna take the player and you're gonna put him here. I just realized what I just said sounds like nonsense. Basically...
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, basically the player is going to be off screen because he's the only one who can interact with elevators. And so you're going to find an NPC, preferably it is Pardo. I'm going to choose Harry because I'm lazy. And then you're going to add the next floor. So level, new floor. And then just so you know that I'm telling the truth, I'm just going to fill that with that, and then so what we have is put the elevator and put it like right in the path of the player. So something like that. And so when the cutscene starts, it's going to be focused on Graham here, or Harry. I think this sprite's name is Harry. So it's going to be focused on Harry. And then when Harry wants to teleport to the next place, your player character will walk into the elevator. So, and the way that
you'll get that screen kind of blink.
So
yeah, it's like
the limitation here is you have to keep the camera super tight focused so it doesn't see the elevator, so it doesn't know that's up. What did you say, Matt? I kind of talked over you.
Basically, with the elevator transitions, like you said, Pig Fingers is the one that introduced this, but basically it's the same sort of thing where you go up a floor and the screen turns black for a second.
Yeah.
And with this, it's almost spontaneous, so it's kind of like an interesting transition, basically. Yeah.
You can use it for level settings. The way he used it was to like the room suddenly got spooky, which is really cool.
Yeah, like Richard or Encounters or something.
Yeah, like, so go play Pig Fingers if you haven't played Pig Fingers, and that'll solve. Now, he also accompanied it with amazing animations, too, which, you know, it's up to you if you want to try to deal with that. And it's actually...
Yeah, that's a whole new ballpark.
Yeah, that's totally different. So, I would suggest putting him real close to the elevator, just right outside the elevator, and then... We'll have an action, we'll have dialogue. Make sure it's focused on, make sure nothing's focused on the player. So he's gonna be like, it'd be cool if I teleported right now. And then add a frame, and then that's when the character walks into the elevator, and you can. I was just doing it fast, so it happens right when you want it to. Obviously, you can change how long it takes for the teleporting to happen based on how long it takes for him to walk to the elevator. And then what you want to do is on the next floor, you're gonna want to create another cutscene. Add the trigger. Make sure the trigger is right where he'll be. The elevator will place him on the second floor. And then let's find Harry again. I think I passed him. Fuck. There it is, I saw it. Okay, and then
what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just like searching for Harry. The fact they didn't add a search bar for those sprites, just Anyways, so and then make sure the frame focus is on character 1 instead of the player. And so, like, basically we'll have him, like, actually, hold on, add action, he'll wait like half a second, and then say something. Okay. Alright. Nope.
Did that work?
I was an idiot. I didn't place the trigger. So make sure the trigger isn't over the NPC, it's over the player character. Gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so over the player character, but the camera's focused on the NPC.
Yeah, trigger over.
Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
Trigger over character. So he's talking, and then all of a sudden, fucking hell, game. Why does it not let me choose the character?
Yeah.
Okay, this is for some reason it's insisting the frame focus go into the player. Okay. Let's try this again.
You obviously tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. So it'd be cool if I teleported right now. Cool. Okay, so then okay, good. So now you see how it's like in this weird, like Twilight Zone, but torn between the character I'm telling you to focus on and this guy. It's because for some reason when he comes, so the player character will come up here. For some reason you have control over the camera again and the player, and so what you have to do is you have to box him up. So I just use invisible walls to like ensure he's locked, so that a person playing your level doesn't accidentally start moving him around. And then and then he should probably be closer than this. So hold on. So I'm going to delete everything that happened. I'm going to delete you, Harry, and then I'm going to find a new Harry. So place him a lot closer, but not too close, just close enough. Wait, half a second, quarter of a second. Make sure that it's got the right character. Add frame, add action, add dialogue. So obviously you need to keep everything like tight and small scale with this. And boom, there we go. Now a good so you see it like it always you might have seen the camera pan a bit. It always spawns the camera on the player and then jolts it up to the NPC. The way you can mask this is adding the time and date, which is what I'm going to talk about next. Because while it's showing the time and date, that's when the camera is moving, so you don't get to see that bit. The other thing is to mod your playable character to be invisible, which is more about camera pans and whatnot. You don't have to choose one of the player characters to make invisible. You can often just say change sprite. So I am going to tell it to change sprite to this guy, 50 Blessings Nerd. So now when I play it, he'll say something, he walks in, and you could briefly see him there, you see that he's that character. So basically, just create a mod that deletes all the sprites of one of these like useless NPCs, like that are like have like 2 or 3 frames. Like 15 Blessings Nerd is the one that I use. I have a mod called Invisible Nerd that just takes away all his sprites, so you can just pan the camera anywhere you want. We'll get into that in a bit. But this is how you do the elevator transition. It's going to take some practice, for sure, for you to be able to get that right. It definitely took me.
Mm-hmm.
Am I recording?
Vehicles.
Anyways, vehicles, camera panning, teleporting. I've used this to good advantage. The only other person I can think off the top of my head that you've seen like moving vehicles, and the one that kind of like gave me the idea for it is Yas, who in Born Again, like a car like screeches up. And so what that you're actually looking at is you're looking at an NPC that someone has used Notepad to change the values to a different item. And with teleporting, it's starting with an NPC that's invisible, then teleporting, and then you like use the change character command in the cutscene to change it to the correct thing. I'm gonna show you how to do a car right now. So let's just delete all this shit and just fuck all that. We're gonna add a new trigger right here, and we're going to add 50 Blessings Nerd, and he's gonna be right here. Oh, I gotta change the name of him. I'm gonna call him Carboy. Yeah. And he'll be right here. Okay. And so what he's just gonna do is he's just gonna walk. He's gonna walk slowly to here. But also in that same action, or actually, you don't actually have to do this. Let's save it. So if I hit play, what you're gonna see. Well, first you're gonna get the date. Ah, it's doing it to me now too. What the hell? Okay.
What's it doing?
The date thing was still there. Actually. Focus, make sure it's on the player. Okay, so I think the reason it's freaking out is because we're playing it like it is a basic level. It works normally as the intro.
Mm-hmm.
It will work, like, theoretically, in a single level, but it freaks out like that. And I don't know, why is it focusing on fucking Graham every single time? Doesn't matter. We're just gonna nuke this level and create a new one. Car time. I'm gonna make it hammer. Okay. Wanna watch this broadcast?
Yeah.
Okay. So, change of plans. Instead of showing you how an NPC just has a moving car, we're going to show you how to turn yourself into a car. Rick and Morty style. Just kidding. Nothing like that.
Even better.
So basically, you have your character, and you're going to need 2 NPCs. You're going to need first this guy, and then next you're going to need this guy, and they're going to be like right on top of each other. Actually, I'm going to rename him food, and you'll see why in a bit. I'm gonna put him literally right on top of the other guy. And then see if I can. I'm gonna rename character 1 car. Okay. Now, what you're basically doing is you're going to use Notepad to change one of these characters into the car. And then one of these characters... Do I need to... It's been so long since I've done this.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, wait a minute. You actually don't need one.
You say you're doing it as a player?
Okay, so remember how in Human Being he walks to the APC, turns into the APC, and drives around?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright. So now that you just have your player and your NPC. And so basically you're gonna add the trigger around the NPC. And what is gonna happen is your player is gonna walk to the car, which is what I'm gonna change the NPC to. And as soon as he hits that trigger, he's gonna turn into the car, and the original car is gonna just turn into anything. And I used this like the trash food item, like those just like dirt on the ground essentially, and he turned into that. So just look, but you could literally just like sprite something invisible and change him to that. And so you can, before you do anything with Notepad, you can create the entire cutscene. So basically in this frame, he will change to 50 Blessings Nerd, and he will change to Andy. So that's easy for me to remember. And then we're gonna add the frame, add action, stop sequence. Okay. So Control P. Alright. And so he did the scan line glitch happened. So basically sometimes when you tell it to change the character to 50 Blessings Nerd, it wants to change it into scan lines. So I should have caught that.
Oh well.
Yeah, so change sprite 50, like you basically have to like select it. If you just like if you hit change character and OK, even though it has 50 Blessings Nerd highlighted, you have to select it, otherwise it'll change your character into scan lines. My bad. So now we have it correct. And then this guy is going to change into Andy. Okay. I'm going to add the frame, stop sequence. Okay. So after the whole thing happens, you can walk around. So basically now you're going to head over to Notepad, and it's going to spam you with these messages if you have as many levels as I do open. So let's clear that out. Okay. So.
But you said with the 50 Blessings Manager, that's where you get the scan lines?
You know how the first choice is 50 Blessings Nerd, just alphabetically? He's the top. And I don't know if you could tell, but I was like, change character, okay, because I already had him selected. I always forget that you just gotta like click on it to like confirm that you want the nerd, otherwise it changes the scan lines. This is another editor glitch because Denton and 9 months and memes. So first we're gonna open up the NPC file. So since there's not a whole lot of NPCs, it's pretty easy, and we're going to want to figure out what the code for the 50 Blessings Nerd is. So I'm going to open up the master list that we talked about earlier, and I'm going to Control F nerd, and that's the first one that comes up. So his is 2802. I remember seeing that. So 2802. So we know what that is. And so now we want to know what the car is. So let's do a Kato GT. That's one of the cars. $1848. Okay. And then we're gonna open up the cutscene file, because the change sprite stuff is located in the cutscene file. So see where he turned. So this right here, you'll see the 2802. That's when Hammer turns into the nerd. And so to get Hammer to turn into an Akato GT, we're going to change it to the Akato GT's value. And then when the nerd turns into Andy, that's 1926. 1926 is right here. I'm not control F'ing because I can just look at it, and he's gonna turn into something that you don't really notice. Which I think it's trash food. Yeah. So that's 370. Save. Okay. So make sure you open it up in edit mode, and you'll see our man is different now. The nerd is now a car. And so I'm gonna hit Control Play.
He's a change man.
He's a change man, literally. Then I'm gonna walk up to it, and where the okay, hold on. For some reason, so the trigger is too small for the new shape. So you gotta keep that in mind. So let's make it so he, like, right when he gets to the bumper. Okay, that was my mistake.
That's a good point, though. I never thought of that.
What?
About the trigger.
Okay, so boom. So then I turn into a car, and he turns into trash. And because he's got the behavior of something else, I go under it, because he's not the behavior of the trash. It would probably be best to transform him into a sprite that you've already marked as the invisible, which I'm going to put on my invisible nerd patch watch. I do camera pans right after this. So now I can drive the car around, and it's goofy, and it's kind of a little ridiculous. The only time I've really used this is in Human Being, because that campaign is ridiculous, and you can do bullshit like this. Now here's the problem. You hit right mouse button, he's gone. It's gone. So that's why I tell you not to hit that in the campaign. So this is super janky, but the purpose of me teaching this to you is not just to have a car transform, but you can do almost anything with this. This is how you get items to appear. In Reefer Madness, the piece of paper he pulls out on the table, that's actually Andy using this method, and I turned him from invisible to a piece of paper. And I always use Andy because he's up at the top, and I know, like, it's easy. So, like, that's a way to change any object into any different object, including yourself. So, hopefully you're able to extrapolate on this. And this is the stuff these are the kind of questions I like to get, is the, hey, I want to do this complex cutscene thing, can you help me? And so, like, because, I mean, I like to get a lot of all questions, don't think that not to ask me, but I mean, like, this is like the meat and potatoes, like the interesting stuff.
Yeah, because if you don't know and you figure it out, that's, like, even cooler.
Right,
so, like,
right.
I know.
So next is camera pans. And that one, that's a real easy one. So we're gonna
we seen this in Blessed Redux, I think.
Yeah, we see this in Blessed Redux. So here's my invisible nerd, and I'm gonna place him up here. And then I'm gonna create. No, hold on. I'm going to delete all of this nonsense. and I'm going to add the trigger right on top of my player. But the focus is going to be on the character. And excuse me.
Woo!
I'm so sorry. Professionalism at its finest. And so we're going to let's wait real briefly, and then he will walk. So this is the pan. So have him walk in the direction that you want him to pan. Slow is probably best. Make sure the camera focus is on character 1. And it would probably make more sense for him to hold on. Let's just delete that action. Walk to. It'd probably make more sense for him to walk to the player. So when you give control to the player, the camera shift isn't jarring. And this is just, small little minutia, to make more cinematic cutscenes is this kind of camera pan stuff. So save it. And so you'll see him walking. So then what I want to do, so take the invisible, so I'm going to grab my invisible nerd sprite, I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to drop that into my mods folder. Get rid of this one. So now when I play that, it'll just be the camera panning and it'll look normal. I highly suggest you use an NPC for the camera panning and not just make the player character invisible, because the player character always has that halo.
That's a good point. It's definitely it's subtle, but you can still see it.
Mm-hmm. Especially if the floor is dark. So now you can't see my invisible nerd because he's invisible. So just remember where you placed it. So watch this. Oh look, and the camera's magically panning, and that's how you do it. Witchcraft, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but it's subtle. Obviously, don't go overboard. But I think in a campaign, just to introduce an intro or outro, it's a nice touch.
Yeah, to set up an important location, draw attention to something. In Madness, when the phone rings, during the phone ring frame, I draw the focus to the phone. So that phone isn't actually the item. It's an NPC, or the item has an NPC standing on top of it, but it's invisible. You can do either way.
And that's smart too, because you have these games where you don't know where the fuck the phone is. So with that, it's you know where it is.
That actually happens a lot because you're supposed to pick up the phone before you're allowed to go to car. So if you camera pan to your phone and then give the control back to the player, it's so much more clear. And it's pretty easy. All right. Anyways.
Okay, son.
So we are talking. We're talking about how to not have to test, how to test levels faster, essentially. So basically, we have our first floor here, and while it's nothing to look at right now, say you make a big first floor, and now you're gonna work on your second floor, and obviously, you have to finish the first floor before getting to the second floor. And so that can lead to a lot of just repetitive having to go through the first floor every single time so you can test the floor you actually want to test. So I'm going to show you how you can avoid that. So we've got this level made, and we're going to save it. And we are going to open up a new level, and I'm going to title it Floor 2. And choose the same character. I was using the pig. You place him, place the vehicle. Don't worry about the vehicle, you can place it anywhere. And you start working on the floor. And you need to have an idea actually where the transition's going to take place. But other than that, you can just work on the floor any way you want, and just spawn your player character right where he would spawn on the level on the transition. So like he goes up the stairs, this is where he spawns on this floor, so he can just have it, yada yada yada. So you make your floors. And so this now, when I hit Control P to test it, I start on the second floor, obviously, because really I just made 2 single levels. So how do you put one on top of the other? What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up your first one. I actually name it Floor 1 just so it makes more sense. And then I'm going to add a new floor. Just make sure you add the new floor. This is very important. Now, you just save it. You don't do anything. And you quit out. So now we're going to open up our files and find our singles. So they're not named. I haven't renamed them yet, so I'm just gonna check which one's which. This one is the first one, which makes sense because I saved it last. I'm just gonna name this Floor 1 real quick, and then I know this one's Floor 2 just by process elimination, and I'm gonna copy these 4 files. Now the top 2 are just, they have nothing to do with the floor itself. These are the HLM and VER. They kind of like set up the rules of it, but all the information of like what the actual floor contains. This one's the objects, this one's the play file, this one's the tiles, and this one's the walls. So you're going to want to copy these and go back to the other one, and you're going to want to Control V paste them. Now it's going to ask you to replace them. Do not do that, because the file names read level 0. So you will if you do that, you will accidentally replace the files of the first floor instead of the blank other one. And I did that on accident and had to remake an entire level from scratch, because you can't, if you replace them, you can't dig them out of the recycling bin, and for some reason it wouldn't let me restore them to a previous version. So do not hit replace. What you're going to want to hit is let me decide for each file and check them both off, and then hit continue. So it'll transfer them over, and since this is the second version of level 0, they'll add to the title an extra like parentheses 2 and so then you're going to take the blank level, which is level 1. So this is these 4 files are the blank ones. So you're going to delete them. Then you're going to highlight your new ones, and you're going to hit rename. And since they're all highlighted, you get to rename them all at one time, and you're now going to name them all level 1, which remember starts with level 0. Level 1 says level 0. So, and that's all you have to do. So now when we boot the game back up,
yeah,
and I just figured this out recently. So
how recent?
Like, I mean, technically I knew that I could do it, but I didn't really think of doing it until recently. Like, it's not like a new trick, it was just a new application of file manipulation I already had. Because if you remember, and I'm going to show you this next, if you remember the second human being game, there's a level that you go up the building, and then 2 levels later you go down the building. I didn't remake it from scratch, I just swapped all the files around. So now,
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. So now here's floor 1, and here's floor 2. Remember, so now you can make sure you save it, and you can add your transition in there. Now, I would recommend testing them to make sure they flow well together. The issue with this method is you have to spawn unarmed, which very rarely is a player going to come to the second level unarmed. Be pretty easy just to test it with spawning different weapons in front of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Just make sure you don't replace 0, and you will save yourself a ton of time, especially when you're like on floor 6 and you have to go through like
Yeah.
4 floors. If I had done this with the Rooster Files, it would have come out like like a month earlier because of
Yeah. You learn.
Yep, you learn. So I would highly recommend this method. And
Especially with like adding new floors, if you're really kind of expanding on some level you have. Again, this is going to come in handy.
right. Alright. So now that we have that, I am going to now add another floor. And we are going to, in walls, spell out the number 3. And now I'm going to show you how to swap the levels around. So now, and it's already updated, so all we have to do for this is we are going to rename level 2 to level 1. And we're going to rename level 1. No, not to level 3, level 2. And then take out the parenthesis. Whoops. Take out the if it would stop doing that to me.
Is it giving you trouble?
Yeah, it was just like wanting to open the file. It's like it has to read level 1. Like that's how the game knows that what you're telling it. If it has any other title, it won't recognize it. You're likely going to crash the game. And when especially when you're doing this at first, highly recommend you take the original level and save it in another location. For instance, for Human Being 3, I have a levels backup where I have older versions, and in fact, on my new policy for when I'm deleting campaigns or something, like say I release the campaign, all the single levels, instead of hitting delete in game, which completely like you can't bring it back, erases the file. Instead, I highlight them in from the single folder, and I take them someplace else and take them out of here, and that way I can bring them back if I ever needed to, which is really helpful. For instance, like there was like multiple, at least one level in Human Being 2 that was you saw it in Human Being 1, and it was just because I yanked the file and put it in this one. So anyways, now let's open it up. And level 3 is now the second one. Now obviously if there's transitions, you can like if you told the like say I had a transition on these stairs that told you to go to level 2, it would take it to this one even after you swap them. So like it's going to take a little trial and error. And also, if you try to do this with the first floor, as you see here, like you're going to have, if you came to here, I forgot to mention this, you're going to have to delete them. So once you delete the on the third floor, delete the card, delete the player, that you're not going to have any problems. Otherwise, there'd be like two player sprites, and one's all glitchy and the camera's going crazy. So make sure the only time you see the player sprite in the vehicle is on the first floor. Alright.
Gotcha.
Okay, and that's about it, everybody. The only thing we haven't shown you is the brand new Deathwish character transition swaps, because we're still having a lot of issues with the way the camera works on them. And we will. Once I figure it out, I will make a video on it. I desperately want this to work, but it's not gonna happen
correctly.
Yeah, like we're gonna have to like really work on it.
Both you and I will probably mess with it for some time.
Yeah. So, but other than that, we've taught. That's the editor, ladies and gentlemen. We've covered everything. But still, stick around. Eventually, we got the next episode is going to be something extra special. We're going to get a whole bunch of guests, and it's going to be a good time. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Also, I'm going to start uploading gameplay of we've lost Blue Doctor. He is bon voyage, left Hotline Miami community, says he's burnt out of it, which is fine. We appreciate the awesome gameplays that he made for us, but I'm gonna try to
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I'm gonna try to like step in for that because I feel like there's a lot of good levels that still need to be cataloged and then stick around. Eventually, I'll put out a video about the deathwish transitions. And I'm probably gonna have to call Yas on, and so we have a couple closing points though to cover, some small things.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, kind of briefly with each one, but I think the first is just optimization slash crashing. Obviously, if you put a lot of shit in your floors, you'll probably notice that the more you have, the longer it takes to save, and it makes sense that the game is just trying to like capture every object in there. And so, numerous times that I've had the game just crash on me because I've edited a lot in a floor, like at least like 10 minutes in, and I forget to save. And when I do so, it like almost seems like your shit is like freezing up. So just keep aware with that. Like I kind of make a habit of saving like every minute or so, just have a habit. But also the next point,
hitting the save button.
Yeah. Because once you have enough crashes, you can't risk like losing that work and starting again. But anyway, the second part is start small. Ambition is great until it overwhelms you. Basically, when you're first watching these videos, getting the gist of it, just make vanilla like levels, because like we touched previously in the beginning, like level design is gonna be your most important. So if you can successfully make a good like plain vanilla level with no mods, that's fucking great, and that's going to be like the structure of what you can do in the future. So yeah, just don't worry about doing all the pretty stuff in the beginning.
I would suggest
third point,
before we go to the third point, I would suggest for every episode that we make, you should make 2 levels about that topic. So you should first start out, make 2 basic levels vanilla, then start trying to incorporate our level design ideas, and then try to work on cutscenes. Just every video, practice it. You're not gonna get something like say something like something big like Snowfall. That wasn't his first try. He had a lot of experience in the editor before he was able to. So I would suggest 2 levels per video.
That makes sense, and definitely even like with mods, you could do something small, which is like, or like spreading, just only have like an enemy faction or just your player, and sort of just like mess around with it. But yeah, I agree that doesn't have to be a super long level, but if you are kind of putting the time into it, you are going to see like progress and improvement hopefully as you're going along with that. But yeah, that's a good point. Third one, don't be an asshole. Basically, that applies just in general, but as you kind of get up in the ranks, you gain your experience, people are going to come to you and they're just going to, get your advice, see if you know anything. And of course, just don't put those kind of people down, because just remember that you were in their shoes at one point, and like people that are annoying you, just spamming your chat box, that's another thing. But in general, like most people, once you start getting good and making good content, they want to do the same. And so it's almost like if they're looking at you for like a reference, that's like a good compliment. And so just try your best to like help out other people, and it is possible that they know something that you don't, whether it's writing or some game mechanic. So just keep out with that. And yeah, you can take over.
Yeah, don't be an ass, don't steal people's stuff. But also like people ask me dumb questions all the time, and I try to like answer it pretty. But I would watch the full video before you ask something.
Yeah.
Because we probably will answer it in the video. I know they can be a bit long, but it's because there's just so much information to try to cover.
But yeah, it's hard to like really go down. Even in that time, like we honestly can't cover anything. So it's typically kind of shows really how much there is to know. But don't be intimidated by that, because again, it's just a learning process that you'll slowly get.
And then try not to compare yourself to others. Um, jealousy.
Like Snowfall, that's a good example.
Yeah, like Snowfall. Look at Snowfall, and you're like, oh, I want to make that, and then you start making something, and it's not quite as good, or it doesn't get nearly as many followers. I've had people approach me, be like, oh yeah, I'm not getting a whole lot of attention right now, and it's like, well,
Snowfall followers.
yeah, hey, but on tisk. It takes time, you know. It's like growing a YouTube channel or anything. Like it takes time to get going, and like I'm making the levels as best as I can. Well, the more you make, the better that like your threshold will be of quality. If that makes sense.
So it's like, yeah, you're putting the experience and just sort of try to make something new each time, but also in general, once you get the gist of it, just make levels that you enjoy playing and that you're having other people play test and they enjoy them too. And that's kind of the beauty of the workshop, that you can just publish something that's so awesome and everyone gets to experience it. But yeah, so once you have the basics down, you really can do a lot with that starting out. So
okay. The next is don't take sprites from other people. A lot of the sprites in the community are free to use. The whole wiki has a whole lot of them. A lot of people give out their work for free. This doesn't mean everyone does. Not everything is free to use. And while there's no like real
be mindful.
Yeah, there's no real enforcement of that. It'll like if you're an asshole to a point, it will kill you socially, and your levels will do bad. And there are multiple.
And people will notice.
There are people in the workshop who, no matter how good their levels in the future are, they're tainted with their past sins of this stuff, and it's still affecting them. So, just.
Well, it's almost like there's like eyes on everywhere. Yeah,
make sure
people
you
know.
Give credit and you ask permission if it's not already explicitly given. Yeah. Just play a lot of extra levels and try to like learn. Like the first time going through some of the levels when I first discovered the workshop, I didn't really think about it, but now going back through and I can see how they built this, or they put even like the menu, like all these items. I can see the individual parts instead of just the whole sum of them. So,
which you kind of get nitpicky, be like, I would change this probably, which is good.
Dennis,
that you like start thinking like that.
Under that door.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be fair, the level editor makes the building process way easier than what they had to do. There was like an interview and he's talking about it where it's like, he's like, I wish it was this easy. You have to do a whole bunch of coding just to get a couch down.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for episode 10.
Yeah.
If you got through everything, I hope it helps. Please send me your levels, because it'd be cool to see what I've influenced. And thank you, Matt.
Are you taking contributions? Like.
What do you mean contributions?
Or not contributions. Sorry, you said like send me your levels. So if people are just like, look what I made, like chat you, like send you it.
Yeah, I'll look at
like
your
via
level.
Steam.
Yeah, I'll look at your level.
Okay.
Within reason. Don't be sending me a fucking jacket campaign every day. I'll tell you to fuck off.
Memes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
But yeah, I hope that I've helped some people, and thank you, Matt, for coming on and helping me with this project. I'm glad that we got it finished.
Yeah.
And
no,
so
it was fun, man.
Now I'm gonna spend the next week editing this stuff. So goodbye.
Definitely look forward to that. Yeah, that next video. It's a good one.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that.